Have you ever heard your name whispered in the dark, with no one there to say it? Have you ever played a game, only to find the rules weren't what you thought? Draw the curtains, light a candle, and turn off the lights. It's story time. You've entered the 13th cycle. Chapter 2. Thumbwar. Written by Twyla Hallow. Narrated by Jessica Tyga. Part 2. Hazel gripped Cole, fingernails digging in, voice breaking into a scream. Don't! Please, Cole, don't play with it! You're not safe! None of us are! Whatever that thing is, it's going to kill you! Cole brought up an arm and shoved her off hard. She went skating backwards, crashing into Penelope. Scarlet stepped forward, jaw tight, nostrils flaring, fists clenched so hard her knuckles had gone white. Don't shove her, she barked at him. Cole stared down at Scarlet, dead-eyed. Self-defense. She put her hands on me. He glared a second longer, one corner of his mouth twisting into a smirk. Scarlet's eyes flashed, every muscle tight with anger. Then her shoulders dropped. She looked around helplessly. Cole caught it. He barked a single laugh and stepped forward, shoulder-checking her, then dropped to the ground. He settled into position, offering a hand to the empty strip beneath the door. Scarlet slinked back to stand with the others. Hazel bent toward her as she drew close, her brow knit, voice pitched so only Scarlet could hear. "What do we do now?" "I don't know yet." Scarlet swallowed the lump in her throat. The image of that face popped into her head and she felt dizzy. She shook her head. "How come only we can see it? Why can't anyone else?" "Freddy Krueger can," Penelope muttered, jerking her chin toward Luca. Luca didn't hear them. He just stood there, jaw clenched, eyes fixed on Cole. A second later, the hand dragged itself out of the abyss, crawling forward with a hungry excitement. The fingers were longer now, grotesquely long, stuffed with what seemed like 1,000 bones and tendons, all twitching under the sallow gray skin. It looked like an insect dredged up from the absolute bottom of the ocean, a horrifying many-legged creature that had never seen sunlight. Or worse, something you might find under the glass of a butcher's counter, carved out of another body. Something that had been dead a very long time. "Ready!" Cole barked. The voice met his. They chanted in unison. 1, 2, 3, 4. This time, it moved fast. The thumb shot out, coiling around Cole's like a snake. It flicked and snapped back over and over, jerking with monstrous speed. Cole winced, his face flushing red. "You're holding too tight, ease up!" he shouted at the door, teeth grinding and sweat beading across his brow, dripping down his temples. The crowd had gone silent, like everyone all at once realized something was wrong. The match was just a couple minutes, but it felt like an eternity. The hand clenched and spasmed, moving with sick little jerks as if animated by sizzling electricity. Cole gave up fighting it and started to squirm against the floor, trying to wriggle out, but it held on. He clawed desperately at the door with his free hand, but it wouldn't release him. The long, gnarled fingers dug deeper into his palm. Pain leaked into his eyes and twisted across his face. "Let go of me now, please!" he begged, panic flooding his voice. When he realized it wouldn't, he cried out to the crowd. His voice cracked, breath ragged, muscles straining as his wrist twisted under the pressure. "This thing is fucking strong! It's gonna break my hand!" Then there was an awful crack, and Cole screamed, collapsing on the floor. The hand had won, but it didn't let go. A guy dressed like a boxer stepped forward. "Okay, man, you beat him. Get off!" The hallway shifted, unease rippling through it. Cole was lying on the floor now, limp, panting. The crowd was dead silent. You could hear breathing now, shallow and scattered. "I said, get off him!" The guy charged up and banged on the door. No response. He hesitated for a split second, then pulled his gloves off and dropped to his knees, trying to pry the fingers loose, grunting and muttering, but they didn't budge. Cole lay there, looking pained, huffing but not moving much. The boxer rocked back on his knees, silk robe swinging, and hammered on the door again. "Hey! Let go!" "It's not going to." Cole bleated with his last ounce of strength. He stared out at the crowd. Then, his eyes found Hazel's, burning into her. They looked remorseful. Hazel felt sick. That's when it happened. The hand jerked back suddenly and violently. Cole lurched forward, yanked by the wrist, cheek scraping across the floor with the sickening squeal of flesh melting raw against linoleum. The gap under the door yawned, stretching unnaturally wide. It kept growing wider and wider until it was the width of an arm, and then the hand started pulling. It was dragging him under. It happened fast. 1 second, Cole was lying startled on the floor. The next, his entire arm was gone, buried beneath the door all the way up to his shoulder. He flailed and thrashed like a fish on a hook, face twisted in agony. "Someone stop it!" he choked, spitting, his eyes rolling wild. Chaos filled the hall as people scrambled forward, shoving and shouting, diving to grab him. Hands caught him by the belt, the legs, the back of his shirt. Whatever they could grip, they counted to 3 and heaved. Inch by inch, Cole slid back, his arm slowly peeling out from the dark. Hazel saw the thing's wrist, then its arm. It was tug-of-war with a human body, and for a moment, they were winning. But the hand was stronger. Another jerk, and Cole sailed forward. His forearm vanished, reeled underneath the door, then his elbow. Soon it had swallowed him up to his shoulder again. The crowd watched, horrified, as he slammed face first into the floor, cheek grinding into splintered wood, mouth open in a shriek. His screams bounced wildly off the walls, filling every corner of the hall. He screamed like he was dying. Then, a horrible sound. The sound of bone snapping, flesh tearing. It was like pulling a rubber band back and letting it go. In one violent snap, they all went flying, catapulted backwards. Cole went with them, body like a rag doll, slamming into the wall with a heavy thud. The sound that came out of him was unlike anything Hazel had ever heard. A scream of raw agony, so sharp it seemed to cleave the air itself. He didn't even sound human anymore. Then, the scream broke off like something had plugged his throat. He sprawled across the heap of bodies, his skin gone gray, eyes bulging in shock. The arm was gone, torn off clean at the shoulder, taken by the hand. For a second, nothing. Then, blood sprayed out fast, spurting across the concrete walls in a thick arc. It pulsed from the gaping socket in grotesque bursts, splattering across faces in a blinding gush, painting the crowd red before they even understood what they were looking at. Hazel flinched as a drop hit her cheek. The warmth of it made her stomach flip. A single shriek split the air, high and sharp, then more. Dozens of screams erupted as a wave of panic swept down the hallway. The crowd lurched backwards, moving in waves, scattering as blood rained down on them. It was chaos now. Students stumbled, climbing over each other to escape. Costumes tore, cups hit the ground and rolled. It was hard to hear anyone over the roar of panic. Someone somewhere cried, "Tourniquet!" Another shrieked, "Call 911!" The surge forced the three girls back, pinned against the spray-painted cinder block wall. Cole writhed on the floor not 10 feet away, his body jerking, his blood pumping into a spreading pool that soaked through his clothes. He was still alive, barely. Hazel saw his lips moving, opening and closing like a fish on dry land gasping for air. Madison was there. Cleopatra costume drenched in blood, one stiletto missing. She gagged, then folded at the waist, retching hard, stomach contents spilling across the floor in a wet splash that caught Hazel's shoes. Hazel backed up quickly. The sight made bile roll up the back of her throat. She swallowed hard, forcing it down, then gulped down a couple deep breaths, trying to breathe away the nausea. Cassidy had collapsed next to Cole. She was crying, her voice high and thin. "Are you okay, Cole? Are you okay?" Her hands fluttered uselessly over his chest. Blood shot out of the stump like a geyser, soaking through her costume, pooling on the floor around him. Blood was everywhere. Hazel fought down another wave, her throat tightening, saliva flooding her mouth. She swallowed hard and forced her knees to move. She climbed down into the puddle, elbowing Cassidy aside and pressed both hands down on what was left of his shoulder. It was like trying to plug a hose. Blood squelched around her fingers and crawled up her wrists, hot and slick. Luca dropped next to her, trying to hold it together. He tore off his sweater in one motion and mashed it hard into the gushing mess at the shoulder, hands shaking with panic. Shit! We gotta keep pressure on the wound. Help me hold it, he barked, eyes locked on Hazel. Harder! Hold it as hard as you can and don't stop! Hazel clamped the sweater down on the wound obediently, arms shaking from how hard she was pressing. She could feel the jagged bone underneath. Cole's eyes had rolled halfway back in his head. He wasn't looking at anything anymore. Someone shouted behind Hazel's shoulder. "Call an ambulance! Somebody call right now!" I'm trying! I don't have service!" Penelope cried, fumbling with her phone, her hands trembling so bad she almost couldn't hit the buttons. "I'll find someone!" yelled Scarlett. She turned and sprinted away down the hall toward the stairs. Cole's body twitched. He shivered. He was fading. The sweater was soaked through. Hazel kept pressing, feeling the jagged bone bite into her palms. Her shoulders burned. Luca was pressing so hard his fingers had gone white. He bent close, voice breaking into a plea. Hey, stay with me, okay? This isn't fatal, they can sew it up. You're gonna be fine." Cole shuddered once. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Then his whole body went slack beneath him. The twitching stopped. The sweater was soaked, blood leaking out around the edges like water out of a sponge. Penelope dropped to the ground beside them, finally with her phone to her ear. She was talking to the dispatcher, voice cracking. "We need an ambulance, now, right now! It's Hollow Bay campus, Marin Hall, there's so much blood! His arm is off, it's been ripped off!" Her eyes flicked to the door a few feet away. The gap underneath was empty. Behind them, someone was shoving their way through the crowd. Someone big and beefy, trench coat swinging, a zombie mask stuffed halfway in his pocket. Logan. A tight knot of stone-faced guys moved into formation around him. "Get him downstairs!" Logan barked, sweeping ahead of them. Hazel stepped back, shaking, covered in blood. Logan and his crew elbowed their way into position and dropped low, sliding their hands under Cole. They hoisted him up with a grunt, his body sagging like a rag doll. The hallway peeled apart automatically. No one spoke. Phones were everywhere now, flashlights glowing, faces lit up pale blue by screens. They filmed as the procession inched down the hallway, blood trailing behind them, then turned into the stairwell and disappeared. Scarlet burst back into view, breathless and wild-eyed, running upstream against the current. She halted, scanning their faces. "I flagged down the security guard. Did you get through to the ambulance?" Penelope nodded tightly, trying not to unravel completely. She turned to Luca, voice breaking. "He won't die, right? They can help him." Luca didn't answer her. Hazel locked her eyes on him and swallowed. "You saw it, same as us. You knew it was going to do this." For a flicker, his eyes met hers. Then he looked away. He stepped back without a word, folding himself into the edges of the hall, slipping among the wall of drawn faces still crowding the corridor. Just then, Logan came charging back up the hallway. His face was beet red, jaw clenched, eyes blazing. He bounded to the door and slammed a tattooed fist against it. "Who the fuck is in there? Come out! Show yourself!" he roared, spittle flying. Penelope stepped forward. "Don't, Logan! Don't engage with it, please!" she pleaded, clutching his arm. Logan shook her off, rage boiling past hearing. He bellowed again. "Hey! Open up or I'm going to break the fucking door down!" He grabbed the handle with both hands, rattling it so hard the whole frame shook. He didn't wait. He stepped back 3 paces, bent his knees, rolled his shoulders, and exhaled once through his nose like a bull. And then he charged. His shoulder hit the door with a solid, awful crack. The wood groaned, but didn't give. Logan bounced off it, shaking out his shoulder, then stepped back, teeth bared, and lunged again. The door didn't budge. By the 3rd hit, Logan was gasping, sweat rolling down his temple. He stepped back, winded, puffing, and put his hands on his knees. His face sagged. He screamed at the wood. "Get out here, you fucker! You hear me? I want to rip your fucking head off!" Then he jumped. The hand was there again. Knobby, spidery, crepe-skinned fingers wriggling into the light, scratching excitedly like they were feeding on the terror in the room. The voice seeped out from under the door.
"Do you want to play next?"
Hazel stepped forward, pawing at Logan's shoulder. "Don't touch it!" Logan tore away from her. "Touch it!" he thundered, veins popping in his neck. "I'm going to rip it the fuck off!" That's when it moved. The hand slithered out fast and pounced, slapping the top of Logan's sneaker with a sharp smack. Logan flinched, eyes bulging. Then he roared, lifted his leg high, and brought it down with a brutal stump. His heel crushed the fingers flat with a wet crunch. Bones cracked, like snapping kindling. The thing spasmed violently, then recoiled fast, squirming broken, back into the strip of darkness. Logan stood there, puffing, foot still hovering an inch above the floor, ready for another stomp. He glared at the gap, daring it to come back. A long minute passed. The whole hallway held its breath. Without warning, 2 arms shot forward from underneath the door. They stretched out, unfathomably long, unfolding in quick, jerking motions, bending one way then the other again and again. 10 bony, curled fingers latched around Logan's ankles. One swift yank, and he was flat on his back with a thud. He got out one yell before his skull cracked against the floor. He lay there a fraction of a second, dazed, wind knocked out of his chest, staring up at the ceiling. Then, as quick as lightning, the gap yawned. The arms tugged. Logan went sailing heels first towards it and was gone. Vanished. Swallowed whole. Taken by the hand. The hallway froze, like time had stopped. Nobody moved. The voice crackled again, laced with glee at its own cruelty.
Who else wants to play?
Something broke inside Penelope. She screamed, lunging forward, tears in her eyes. No one is going to play with you!
No! Refusing to play means forfeit!
The voice snapped, vibrating with rage. Its tone sharpened suddenly, veering into frenzy.
Forfeit means I win, and win means I take you one by one!
Can it just do that? Scarlet whirled to Luca, frantic. Luca stared back at her. Why are you asking me? I don't know what that thing is. As if to answer her, the slit beneath the door quivered. Then a long, bony arm shot out, so fast it was just a blur. Fingers closed around Penelope's ankle. It jerked and she toppled, slamming into the ground, a panic shriek bursting from her lungs. Her nails scraped against the floor as she flailed, twisting, kicking, trying to dig herself out of its grasp, but the fingers only tightened. The door groaned as the gap beneath it opened wider. The arm started to tug, hauling Penelope forward in tiny, playful jerks, enjoying the struggle. It pulled her, inch by inch, slow at first, then faster and faster until she was sailing full speed toward the void. The gash gaped open, preparing to swallow her, when a voice rang through the hall, clear and raw, louder than anyone expected. "I'll play!" It was Hazel. Penelope squealed to a stop. The fingers unwound from her ankle. She clawed backward, fast, scrambling to her feet. Scarlet was already there, hauling her up and clutching her tight. A laugh fluttered from behind the door, like a foul gust of air, a terrible nerve-rattling, skin-peeling sound. The voice sang out, distorted and dripping with delight.
Fantastic! Give me your hand!
Hazel shook her head. She took a step forward without meaning to, fists clenched at her sides. She could feel Scarlet and Penelope watching her. "Not a Thumbwar. I only want to play if I can pick the game." The hand faltered. It hovered just above the linoleum, fingers curling and uncurling. It was thinking.
Let's play.
The voice purred at last. Behind her, the crowd stirred. She breathed in and out, kneeling slowly. Then she turned, twisted her head, and shot a look at Scarlet. She swallowed once, hard, thinking as fast as she could. "Lizzie, what do you think I should play?" Scarlet caught it. She clamped her teeth down on her lower lip, trying to stay calm. "How about rock, paper, scissors?" Hazel gave the faintest nod and turned back to the hand. "You heard her. Rock, paper, scissors." Behind her, Scarlet had slipped silently into the crowd. The voice faltered. You could almost hear the gears turning. Finally, it oozed out a word.
Accepted.
The hand flinched and shifted, fingers twisting themselves into a fist.
Ready?
"Not yet," Hazel snapped, sending her eyes around the hall. Scarlet wasn't back yet.
You stalling?
The voice thundered so loud it shook the walls. I'm not stalling, Hazel lied. She looked over. Scarlet was there. She'd reappeared at the edge of the crowd, weaving back, silent and quick. Penelope saw her too and took a step forward, closing the distance between her and Hazel. Scarlet had reached them, sidling right up to the door, hovering just off to the side. She didn't look at Hazel or Penelope. She didn't even blink in their direction. Her gaze stayed fixed on the hand, her whole body taut and angled toward it. One arm twisted behind her back, gripping something tight. Hazel stiffened and braced herself, every nerve in her body quivering. You like games, right? How about a wager? The voice bubbled with a giddy delight, savoring the taste of her fear.
A wager. Interesting. What conditions?
Hazel swallowed, darting a glance at Scarlet. If you win, you can decide what you want to do to me. But if I win, you go away and leave us alone forever. I'm not playing unless you agree.
Fascinating.
It purred mechanically. The sound crawled across Hazel's skin, buzzing against her teeth. Then it went quiet. The silence stretched, unbearable, every second feeling like it might split her open. It was the longest minute of Hazel's life. Her chest ached with how long she held her breath. Then at last, the voice spoke a single word.
Accepted.
A ripple went through the crowd. Penelope got down on her knees just behind Hazel. Her whole body was coiled tight, ready to move. Scarlet stood still, focus locked in. The muscles in her arm twitched, her hand still hidden behind her back. Hazel bent forward, breath hitching, slowly bringing out a fist and resting it shakily on her palm. The voice oozed through the hall, cold and gleeful and edged with hunger.
On my count. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
The hand struck out, fast and sudden, two long skeletal fingers forking in a crooked V. Scissors. The moment swam by in slow motion. But she couldn't stop herself. When it was over, Hazel blinked, trying to register what had happened, staring down at her hand, fingers outstretched, flattened into a neat plank. She had lost. For one horrible second, the hallway was silent. Then, the hand lunged. It jerked forward, wrapping its fingers around Hazel's arm so tight she thought it might snap the bone. Penelope sprang in between Hazel and the door, jamming her feet against the wall and seizing the thing by the wrist. Together, she and Hazel yanked, hauling back with everything they had, reeling the hand out. Only an inch, but far enough to give Scarlet a clean shot. Before anyone could blink, Scarlet lifted the axe above her head. For one suspended second, it hung there, glinting in the twinkling party lights. Then she brought it down. Thwump! The blade sunk into the floor, splitting the linoleum in two. But the hand was gone. In a flash, Penelope wrapped her arms around Hazel's waist and dragged her up and back, stumbling away from the door like it might strike again at any second. Everyone stirred, the crowd breaking into a ripple of startled gasps and shuffling feet. Scarlet wrestled with the axe handle, wrenching it free, but it was too late. The hand had disappeared, sucked back inside like it had known what was coming. Scarlet gripped the axe handle and planted her feet. She raised the blade overhead and held it there, ready to drop the second she saw the thing. She held her breath. The crowd held theirs alongside her. It felt like an eternity. For a moment, Hazel started to believe the thing really had vanished, that it had disappeared into whatever dark pit it came from, and it wasn't coming back, that it was over. Then, without warning, the hand lunged, bursting out from the crack beneath the door with a violent, unholy speed. Scarlet didn't hesitate. She brought the axe down in one clean, merciless arc. In that second, the lights went out and the room dropped into black. A scream tore through the dark, sharp and ragged, alongside the crunch of the axe hitting the floor, and something else, louder than it should have been, the sound of bone breaking. It echoed down the hallway like a gunshot. When the lights came back on, everything looked wrong. Blood streaked across the linoleum in thick, wet ribbons. The severed hand had skittered several feet from the door, wrist pulsing in little stutters as blood gushed out from the ragged end. A scream erupted from behind the door. This one, a different voice. Not the same twisted, gleeful voice that had been torturing them all night. This was a human scream. Then, another scream sounded. A girl with pink hair was crouching down by the severed hand, eyes wide, mouth open, shrieking, "Oh God, it's Logan!" She choked, finger aimed toward the twitching wrist before she snatched it back. "It's Logan! It's Logan's hand!" Scarlet teetered on her feet. She kept her grip on the axe, staring at the narrow strip of darkness beneath the door like anything might jump out of it. "What are you talking about?" The girl shot to her feet, hands fluttering in front of her frantically. Her voice climbed towards hysteria. "His tattoo! The back of his hand! It's Logan's tattoo! It's Logan's hand!" Scarlet's knees nearly buckled. She gripped the bloody axe in front of her body with both hands, staring down at the floor in disbelief. "No, that's not possible. It's a trick. That thing, it's messing with us. It's a trick!" Penelope moved. She was heading for the door. She reached out and grabbed the handle. It turned easily. The door swung open. The room was dim and oddly quiet. Light spilled in from the hallway, falling across the body lying on the floor, still, but twitching. His chest rose and fell in shallow, jerky breaths, his face pale and wet with sweat, his eyes wide and glassy as they stared up at the ceiling like he couldn't quite process where he was. Logan. His right arm was stretched out beside him. The left ended in nothing. Outside, sirens howled. A few students, dazed but moving, clustered around Logan's crumpled body. One of his friends, shirt soaked in sweat and blood, tightened a belt around what was left of Logan's wrist, cinching it just below the mangled end. Another braced his legs while a girl tore off her jacket and bundled it against the wound. Logan's eyes rolled, half-lidded, unfocused. He groaned. They worked fast, lifting him, fumbling for balance a little, then moved toward the stairwell, down to the entrance. The girls followed. Cole was gone. Someone said they'd gotten him out. Tourniqueted, stabilized, strapped in, and driven off with lights flashing. They thought he was going to be all right. Another ambulance was parked just outside, back doors open, gurney waiting as if they'd known they'd be needing a second. They packed him in, slammed the doors, and peeled away, sirens flaring. And just like that, he was gone. Scarlet didn't wait. As the second ambulance turned the corner, she took off back toward the stairs, Hazel and Penelope close behind her. Scarlet raced up to the second floor, sped down the hallway and darted inside the room, sweeping it, axe raised. She looked everywhere. The corners, the closet, under the bed. Nothing. Empty. No one remembered the next day. Not what happened to Cole, not what happened to Logan. But more than that, no one even remembered who Cole and Logan were. No one remembered the hand. No one remembered the voice. And no one remembered the game. The girls tried the hospital just off campus where Cole and Logan had been taken by the ambulance hours ago. They went there to demand answers, but ended up getting tossed out. They tried explaining, calm at first, then agitated. They kept getting the same bored response. There was no record of Cole or Logan. No patients had been admitted with severed limbs, no trauma cases matching what they'd seen. Nothing but the usual Halloween mess. Alcohol poisoning, concussions, broken bones. Nothing out of the ordinary. They checked the dorms. Logan's room first, then Cole's. Their bunks were stripped empty. Closets cleaned out, desks wiped down. There was no sign that anyone had ever lived there. No photos on the walls, no dirty laundry, no trash cans full of empty Red Bulls and ramen wrappers. It was like something had gone through and deleted them. They kept asking around, but no one remembered a burly redhead in a zombie mask lurking in the hallway, not even casually. Not even his friends, the ones who had carried Cole's body down the stairs. They looked confused. They looked at the girls like they were having a breakdown. They started to think maybe they were. Maybe Penelope's drug theory wasn't so crazy after all. Maybe they had been slipped something. Something experimental that fried their brains just enough to invent a shared hallucination. That would explain everything. Except for the axe. Scarlett found it leaning up against her bed when she woke up, caked with blood. And then there was Cassidy. She came into Scarlett's dorm room looking for Madison, wearing the necklace. The moment they saw it, the girls pounced. Where had she gotten it? Had she always had it? Cassidy couldn't explain. She looked confused, like she was still trying to piece it together herself. As far as she knew, the necklace had been buried with her grandmother. She hadn't seen it in years. Then, last night, it just appeared. Around her neck. She seemed shaken, too. Anxious. Like something was fluttering at the edges of her memory, buried deep in her mind. Something about playing the game left a scar inside her brain that she couldn't explain. Penelope had an idea. "Show me your phone." Cassidy handed it over. Penelope opened the camera roll fast, thumbs quivering. There was a video taken late last night, 32 seconds. Her finger hovered over the button for a fraction of a second, then she hit play. They almost saw something. Cassidy dressed as a fireman in the dim dorm hallway under the purple lights. Walking forward, getting down on the floor, stretching out an arm. Then the screen glitched. The image swerved sideways like someone had reached onto the device and ripped it away. After that, it went black. Scarlett grabbed someone else's phone only to find the same thing. They spent the rest of the morning hunting down anyone who had filmed the party. Almost everyone had. Phones were out all night. But the videos were all corrupted. Every single one. They flipped through hundreds of photos and videos. Anything taken before the hand appeared was fine, but everything after was gone, replaced by black squares or distorted blurs. There was no record of anything that had happened. Except for one. In one video, taken early in the night, there he was, hovering in the background, skulking through the crowd in his zombie mask, laughing. He popped out of nowhere and scared someone, then shoved a slice of pizza in another kid's face. Logan. That was proof enough for the three of them. They weren't going crazy. They hadn't been drugged. Logan existed. He wasn't a figment of their imagination, but where was he now? Something had happened. If anyone else remembered, really remembered, it would be Luca. Hazel was the one who pointed it out. He was the only other person besides the three of them who had seen the monster's face. And more than that, he hadn't just seen it, he'd recognized it. He knew what it was. They searched for an hour, finally spotting him outside, by the cafe, moving quickly across the cement. His head was low, his eyes red and bloodshot like he hadn't slept. "Luca!" Hazel called out, scrambling to overtake his stride. He twisted his head around, caught sight of them, and kept moving. They had to jog to catch him. "You knew," Penelope said, out of breath, trotting beside him as he stepped briskly along the path toward the science building. "You saw the face under the door. You told people not to play. You knew what it was." He stared down and kept walking. "That's not true." Hazel seized it. "But you did see it." Luca stopped short, whirling to face her. He looked her straight in the eyes, holding the stare a little too long. Then his gaze shifted, first to Scarlet, then to Penelope. His mouth opened like he was about to say something. "I don't know what you're talking about." It was a lie. They could all feel it. It practically sizzled in the air. Scarlet took a step forward, begging. "Don't do that. Don't pull that crap. You saw it. You warned everyone." Hazel's voice shook. "It was your sweater. I held it against his shoulder." She choked it off. Luca shifted on his feet. His jaw moved like he was grinding his teeth. For a second, just a flicker, something moved behind his eyes. Fear. He knew. Then it was gone. He smiled, a tight, polite smile, like nothing was wrong. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said again, slowly. "I never saw a face, never met a Cole, never met a Logan, never played Thumbwar." Hazel caught it. So did Scarlet. Penelope opened her mouth, voice clipped. "No one said anything about Thumbwar." His face hardened, icy. He stepped around them and walked off, fast, hands jammed in his pockets, head down again, not looking back. You've been listening to The 13th Cycle, Thumbwar. Written by Twyla Hallow and narrated by Jessica Taiga. See you again when the lights go out.